I see the, toll that this business, this industry can have on folks, and
For sure.
how people can, most people, you get one shot, and if you mess something up, you drop back down to ground zero, and so, I never wanted, as I wanted in my career, I never wanted to be that person.
Every single individual has a story to tell, and they're great stories that need to be heard.
I want every listener to know they have the ability to change the world.
Welcome to the 1720 Podcast.
What's up, Mountain Movers? Welcome back to the 1720 Podcast. This week, we're with our friend Damian Lee with H.J. Russell. And typically, we kick these off with the elevator pitch. We ask you who you are and all this. But through some recon, through some friends, Danny Manano and Melanie Rainey, they gave us some inside scoop on a few things, including this icebreaker, that the watch that we are looking at right now has not worked in years.
It's probably been 4 or 5 years since this thing hasn't worked. But, man, I don't know. I always just needed something on my wrist, growing up. And I got an Apple Watch, and it's probably the most annoying thing that ever's been invented for me. It's buzzing and all this stuff going on.
Yeah, dude.
And I just stopped charging it. But
it's not even broken.
It's not even broke. Yeah.
Wait, it works.
It works. I don't charge it, man. And
that's even better.
I got this nice bracelet on it. And so it's actually a very stylish watch bracelet. Precise weight and balance I need on my wrist, and so, man, that's it, And so
I love that even more that it works.
Well, because if you're Judgy McJudgerson listening right now, you have rocked a watch that's out of battery.
Yes,
and you just turn the hand closest to your meat. All right, this wedding starts at 6.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna
turn
this thing forward now. We've all been there.
Yeah,
that's all you're doing. It's just electronic.
Man. It's just electronic, man. And like, if I leave the house and I don't have a watch, I'll turn around and go get my watch.
Well, you need to know what time it is.
I need to know what time it is. It's like,
if you leave the house without your watch that doesn't work, you'll go back.
I go back and get my.
It's a non-negotiable.
It's a non-negotiable, man. You got the quirky things that you need. To make you feel like, hey, I need to rock it today.
It's always dinging and pinging, and you hate it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I had this conversation with somebody. I forget who it was. It kept buzzing. We were having a meeting. They're like, "Oh, I hate this thing," and I said, "You know how to stop that, right?" And they're like, "Ah." And I don't wear a watch much, but when I do, I wear this like $30 Timex that just has just so I can like time stuff every once in a while. Nothing, not fancy. It actually has a Velcro band on it.
There you go.
I go, you know how to stop that, right? And I was like, get one of these.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't have to be interrupted. You're choosing to be interrupted.
That's it. That's exactly right. And so, So
that's a heck of an icebreaker.
Yeah.
Dude, it's great.
Yeah. And that's it.
I completely relatable. When those started coming out, like this phone already is, I'm addicted to it enough as it is. I couldn't imagine it also on my wrist.
Man,
once I go there, I'm not going to stop. So here it is, silicone ring. Or wristband. That's what we're going with.
Yep. So that's it, man. Every day I have it, and it doesn't work, but it's a great piece on my arm.
Well, and then one of the note you took here was that you tell other time, my name is Damon. Do you have the time my watch doesn't work? Like, this is your bit.
Right. So the elevator pitch, I don't talk about myself a lot. So, imagine if I'm in an elevator, it's like, hey, Damian, you got the time?
Try to punt it. Punt the attention.
Yeah,
good luck doing that today, man.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We were talking before we started recording about how I just had to sit down and figure all the stuff because you spend so much time talking about everybody else.
That's it. Yeah.
Today's your day, man.
Man, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, get us started. Tell us who you are.
Yeah. So really, that's who I am, man. I try to be a simple guy. Don't ask for much. And typically I like to talk about other people. And know their story. So this is I guess this is a treat for myself as I was going through your prep sheet, and it was like, oh man, okay,
yeah,
this is how I grew up, come up through the industry, and okay, I actually got a pretty good story to tell. So,
well, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. We were talking before we started recording about growing up in a little town called Tomball, Texas.
Tomball, Texas, man, that's where I was born and raised. It's a little. I sometimes I hate saying it. It's like, oh, I grew up in Houston. Well, I didn't grow up in Houston. I grew up in Tomball, which is about 45 minutes north of Houston. Man, great little town. It's a big booming metropolis now. Growing up, it was a 2-lane road coming down Main Street. Now it's like we were talking about. There's music venues and they do carnivals and all these festivals and it's traffic. And so it's kind of like,
what's this traffic all about?
Traffic about? I used to, walk to school and go to the donut shop. When I was growing up, and
well, it's the kind of town. I mean, I don't know Tomball, but I know of. It's the kind of town where when you're growing up, everybody knew everybody.
Everybody knew everybody.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It's I don't even know the population anymore. They've we had an old Four Corners, back in the day. Now they moved the Four Corners to be more, where more traffic comes at now, and so it's, we got Target and Chick-fil-A now, and that's when you made it.
That's right. When you get a Chick-fil-A,
the
population has reached a certain threshold,
and so now I knew that was okay. It may be time to move.
Time to go. So you're going to Dallas instead?
Yeah,
no,
right.
I've yada yada. There. Tell me. So born there, raised there, high school there.
Man, born and raised Tomball. High school there. Like I said, man, I grew up. My parents were raised there. My dad's from really in Houston, but he moved to Tomball, right, I think in middle school.
Okay.
And my mom, his family been there forever too. So my parents were there, and we had the luxury of being born and raised there too, and so, man, I grew up from I call it a line of tough aunts, uncles. I mean, gritty. I mean, you want something, you go work for it. Nobody's ever not going to give you anything. And so that's kind of how I grew up.
Yeah.
And so it's, I wouldn't trade it for anything, and so that's kind of how I kind of got my start in that little town.
It's a weird way to like pinpoint exactly how big Tomball is, but how many people you graduate high school with?
I think we had 400 in my graduating class.
Yeah. So some people are listening out there and be like, well, that's huge because I graduated with 9.
Yep.
Like,
yeah.
You live in Arkansas.
Yeah.
But
you were homeschooled.
You were homeschooled. Exactly.
But others are like, no, I graduated with 1,800 and stuff like this. So it's small. I mean, that's, know everybody or what they did.
You know what they did. And man, I had a great group of friends, how we grew up, it was, these days, I got my daughter's 11 years old. And she's outside. I'm always peeking outside what she's doing. But we grew up outside. Actually, our parents told us, "Why are you inside? You need to go outside to play." And so, and so we knew at the street light, it's time to come home. We can hear our mom yelling down the street. So it was like, well, we better book it home. But I mean, we were outside 24/7.
I don't. There's a Warren G song about how when the street light comes on, it's time to go home.
That's it. Yeah,
love that.
That's how we grew up.
I love the bit of your parents.
Yeah.
Your dad worked for Bluebell.
Man, so my dad and my parents, I call my parents my heroes. They man, two of the hardest working people. They're just lucky to have them as my parents. And so, so dad was worked for Bluebell ice cream for most of his career. And my mom was a dental hygienist, and so it's funny, as I'm going through this, looking back, so dad gave us all the cavities with the ice cream. While mom, mom would lay us down, and fill our cavities up, and it was a cycle, and so to this day, man, I'm a lover of ice cream, and my mom always called me, you go get your teeth clean, and all that. So, but
this is a squirrel for sure, but Brenham's close.
Yeah,
isn't that the home of Bluebell, right?
The home of Bluebell.
So what did Dad do for Bluebell?
So my dad was a route supervisor.
Okay.
And so Dad would get up every morning, about 2 or 3 every morning, and so they had a local plant there in Houston, where we go line out all the drivers. And most of those days, if a driver didn't show up, then Dad had to run all the routes.
Oh, yeah.
And so my dad knows Houston area, Houston Woodlands, Tomball. He knows every back road street that you can ever imagine. And so growing up, if I ever get lost, I'll call Dad. He's, just make a left on this street and go down there and he'll get you right back home. And so he was had a map in his head, and so.
That is, I mean, not that this is about that, but that's a lost art, might be the word. I was it doesn't matter. I was at a volleyball tournament talking to a guy who's in the liquor business.
Yeah.
And he was saying the same thing. He's like, back in the day, I knew where every goody was and every specs because we had to run those routes.
We had to run routes,
Nobody knows where anything is anymore.
Yeah. 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 And so Dad knew the roads like the back of his hand.
That's awesome.
And so that, yeah. So man, my parents worked very extremely hard. We didn't have much growing up, but we had everything we need. It never felt like I was poor or anything. But two loving parents at home, and I got 2 older brothers. So I'm the baby. My brothers. We got each other's backs. It's not. Most people siblings. You grow up and you kind of fight each other. But man, me and my brothers, we always was there for each other. And so,
how much older are they?
So we're all a year apart.
Okay.
And so I'll be 43. My other brother's 44 and 45.
Okay. All right,
so my mom and dad was busy. Efficient, very efficient. Like, hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it right. One time.
There's what do they call it when you have 2 kids within the same year?
Irish twins.
Irish
twins. Yeah, we're pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah, my brothers. My older brother David. His birthday is January 4th. My middle brother Desmond is January 28th.
Very close.
Very close.
Yeah.
Clockwork.
Yeah, like
dude, when y'all are in high school, they're like, man, them Lee boys, right? They can be here forever.
That's it. It's like
there's another one.
Oh man, and we were all rowdy. I'm very outgoing, and so are my brothers, and we always were class clowns. So, and all the teachers. Oh, I know your brothers. So we had that growing up, and so we were always ready for a good time.
Yeah. Okay, I got a class clown question, but I got a parenting question before that, because lots of us are raising kids.
Yeah.
And not all of our kids get along like that.
Yeah.
I think that's a unique part of your story. So tell me, lean into that. Like, is that parenting? Is that something that y'all did? Is that just who y'all are? Like, how did that happen? I want that to happen for my kids.
Right. Yeah. And I want that for my kids, and I'm trying to instill, in my kids, hey, you've got to have each other's back, and if mom and dad aren't here, you've got to take care of each other.
Yeah.
And I think just growing up, that was instilled. Family was really tight and close for us. I grew up down the street from all my cousins.
Mm-hmm.
My aunts and uncles we did everything together. So family was really tight for us. And I think that's probably where the sense of, hey, we're here for each other comes from, is that, hey, man, we did everything as a family.
Yeah.
And so, I probably talk to my brothers probably 3-4 times a week.
That's awesome, man.
Just, hey, and it's sometimes a quick phone call. Hey, what's going on? No, nothing. All right, hey, just
checking in.
Just checking in,
Yeah.
And so it's, definitely want my kids to kind of, just think that same way. Of course, you don't all think alike. You got different, passions and things you want to do in life, but hey, you can still be there for each other. So,
man, it's just riffing on nothing at this point, but like living in a small town where everybody's close helps breed that, right? Like, so it doesn't, not that you didn't or your family didn't focus on, but it kind of just, you didn't have a choice. Like, we just all here and that's what we do. Whereas living in the city and grandma and grandpa far away and aunts and uncles live in a different town, you don't have that just inherent sense of, not Saturday. Of course, we're going over to aunt whatever's house.
That's it. Yeah,
that sort of thing. It's harder that way.
Yeah. My grandparents really wanted all the cousins to be together all the time. So my grandmother loved to fish, right? And so we went fishing all the time, and it's old school, go catch your own bait, go in the ditch and look for raw fish, go get your own bait, and
like
just
scoop it up with a bucket,
scoop
throw
it
it
up
out
with
the road,
bucket.
see what you got.
That's it, and so before we go fishing, we had to go crawl through all the ditches and go get our bait. So
last week we were talking. It was, I guess maybe a couple weeks ago. Actually, we were talking like what the story felt like home to you.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like home to me.
Yep.
Well, crawfish is like $16 a pound.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, but
dig out of the ditch.
You're thinking of like crawfish, like these dudes that you get at
right? Yeah,
I'm a Chicago guy.
We're little
mud bugs.
Yeah, little mud bugs. I'd go catch them and
little tiny. They're not red, they're like kind of translucently.
Yeah, that's it.
Grayish, brownish. It's a crawfish, but it's different than what you're thinking.
You got your slice of home.
Dude,
I'm telling you, like I can smell the muddy ditch.
Yep. Oh man,
you know what I mean?
Man,
isn't that crazy?
We live for it, and
awesome.
and grandparent, every summer, got to get the garden ready.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to go work in grandparents' garden, get it ready, till it up. And so, man, it was a great time growing up, and my grandparents, my grandmother, still alive. My grandpa passed away a few years ago, but man, it was really something that kind of, I would say, just kind of molded me to, who I am. My grandfather was a truck driver, for most of his career, man. And he took all the grandkids on the trip, 10-day trip,
Like big long haul truck driver?
long haul truck driver. And so, every one of us had, one-on-one time with Grandpa, in the big rig. And man, it was the greatest thing ever, man. 10 days. I don't even know where we went. Oklahoma, Mississippi. It was great, man. Rolling down the road, Grandpa, and he's shifting big old gears, and he's just singing loud, and man, just rolling, man. It was great, man. My grandpa, I loved his hands, like he was just a hard worker. You shake his hand, they're like concrete. And I was like, oh man, I want my hands like that, know. And so, man, and so he, one of the toughest men I knew. Growing up, one story is we're down at my aunt's house, and she had an old house that's on her property, and it was all torn down and everything. And one day we were all playing outside, and we see all these bees, swarming around and everything, and it kind of scared us. And we went down and got Grandpa. Hey guys, bees all over this house, and he's like, "What kind of bees?" And so, man, he gets up, walks down the street, goes into the house, found out it's honeybees.
Mm-hmm.
Went and just grabs the bare hands, comes out, bees swarming all around him. We got fresh honey, man. And it was the most, I'm like, oh.
He's a superhero.
He's a superhero,
Is that
man. Batman? Still, and, the best honey I've, ever had, and he just went in there and grabbed it,
That's mine now.
Man. Yeah, that's mine now, exactly.
I love that story.
Yeah, man. And so, but yeah, they taught us, hunting, fishing, grandpa parents, family had a little plot of land up in Crockett, Texas, which sits here, East Texas. And we have to go there every summer as well. They had pigs and they had a farm and garden. And so we had to go up there and work. Remember climbing up pear trees, shaking pears out of the trees, and Grandma making fresh pear jam. And so, man, it was pretty solid.
Man, it's like almost as a Chicagoan, it's where we're trying to go. We're striving towards someday to go there.
Right, yeah.
Like a retirement.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Or not even retirement, like a hobby farm type.
Right, yeah, man. And, it's kind of fun. Yeah, right. So, yeah, funny you say that because it's, it's kind of things we grew up on, and then we move and we do all this work in the big city. And now we're looking, man, I want to get out of this.
It's calling your name again.
Right, I want to, be on some land and, grow your own food and, teach the kids how to live off the land a little bit. And so, yeah, it's funny how it comes full circle. Yeah.
There's a Garth Brooks song called, his neck was red as Alabama clay. And the city's call pulled him away, and he goes to the city, and he lives has a big factory job and hates it and goes home.
Yeah.
Like that's what we're talking about that.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a second song reference. I guess I gave up basketball references for song references.
Must have been cranking Spotify on your way here.
No, I don't know. Like there's just, I don't know. I tell you what it is like, just like last week when your story took you home, like this story takes me home, and those are like, those songs are in my head from just being a kid.
Yeah.
So just saying that stuff makes me sort of live in that space. I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of Spotify, you said, is on my way over. So I became a lover of country music at probably about middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a friend of mine gave me a George Strait, Pure Country. Yeah. Tape, and I was rolling, driving in today, and some of those songs came on the radio. I was like, oh man, look at this.
Isn't it funny how it just takes you back?
Takes you back, man, know, and so.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Before we spin out a character, because I looked at your notes here, and I know you're an outgoing dude.
Yeah.
I had a feeling you had the hard work, grit, perseverance, but one thing that and it's no shock that you didn't write it, because of course you wouldn't write it, but an observation over the years about Damian, he's given Kyle Kelly a run for his money on nicest guy in the room. Every conversation, that smile, that laugh, like, did somebody ingrain that in you? Was that part of this package growing up with your family?
Yeah, I think so, man. My family is all about others and giving. If you all our friends, where it be Thanksgiving and Christmas, they just found their way to my grandparents' house, and they just welcome everybody. Yeah, come on, get some food, man. You know? And so always just welcoming. And so I think that was a good trait, that I got from my family. My grandpa, after years he had to retire from driving. My grandmother would basically just drop him off at Walmart. This was back in the old days where wasn't weird,
No.
you know, and he would just sit up at Walmart and just greet everybody, you know, and just talk to everybody, you know. He was just a people person, you know. And then at lunchtime, she'd go pick him up and take him to the cafe where he would sit up there for a few more hours, and you know, just never met a stranger, you know. And so I think that's kind of, you know, what how I kind of got that, you know, from definitely family, you know. And so I, man, you like, yeah, man, I try to see the best in people.
Yeah.
You know, I try to, you know, not to cast judgment on anyone, you know. It's everybody starts at 100 with me.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's kind of, that, you know, my executive coach hates it. You know, you know, it says because I'm a very high trusting individual.
Yeah.
You know, and man, it's just the way I've grown up, and you know what kind of made me successful. You know, as coming up through this career. So
I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
Chicago was earn trust.
Yeah.
You got to earn it. And
Yep.
when you turn that leaf that you start with 100,
yeah,
you get to drop your shoulders a little bit.
That's it.
And
Yep.
a little more peace.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
It's yours to lose. Like
That's
if
right.
you lose it, that's another story.
That's it,
you know?
right? That's it. And I think that's, you know, that's kind of, you know, how I, you know, just I'm also, you know, very highly insightful. You know, so kind of just coming up, you know, I see the, you know, toll that this business, this industry can have on folks, and
For sure.
how people can. I mean, most people, you get one shot, you know, and if you mess something up, you know, you drop back down to ground zero, you know. And so I never wanted, you know, as I wanted my career, I never wanted to be that person. You know, I want to see the best in people from the get go. I don't know you, you don't know me, and I think I get, you know, my guys in leadership team, you know, I basically say, hey man, it's yours.
Yeah.
You know, you're 100. I think you can definitely do this job if you want it. I believe in you, trust you, you know, and then say, here you go.
Right.
You know, and go prove it.
Right.
You know, go do it, you know, and it's up to you.
There's a lot more gained from, this is just me thinking about it
Yeah.
out loud, but there's a lot more gained in that approach than there is lost in the other approach, right? Like having to earn trust and grinding it out and all this stuff. It's like, no, I mean, and you have to, you know, weigh it. Like I don't trust you with like the passwords to my bank account.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but
right.
like,
Yeah.
like it's okay. Go run with it.
Yeah.
Trip and fall. It's okay. Remember Amy Stewart? She said the title of her episode was like "Run Fast, Fall and Get Up," or "Fall and Get Up Fast," or something like that. The idea is like, let's just go.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna fall down. It's fine. I pick you up. Let's just keep going.
Yeah. Yep.
That sort of idea is like, I get down with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of been, you know, just me coming up in the industry, you know, is I had to prove it. You know, I had to work 3 times as hard as most of my peers, and, you know, and kind of be tactful, you know, of how I can move up, you know. And so nobody ever said, you know, hey, I believe you can do it. It's like, go do it, you know, and I'm looking at you to fail. And so I've always had to, you know, be very, very self-reliant, you know, and grit and hard work, and, you know, to work my way up in the industry. So
let's take that trip.
Yeah.
So I don't want to yada over something that we missed about the come up story there and growing up in Tomball, but how did you get into construction, I guess, is like the big question, but like you have to draw us through some sort of time and space to get there. Yeah.
I'd say, you know, I started, I guess it all started in college. And so, you know, graduating high school, I had no idea I was going to college. You know, we didn't talk college growing up, you know. Mom actually went back to school. I want to say it was my freshman year in high school, to go get her a dental hygienist degree.
Okay.
And so she was a dental assistant for a number of years, and you know, like, real smart lady, you know, just like Forrest Gump. Mom was a real smart lady, you know, and she was, and she had a work ethic, and I'm going back to school, you know. And so she stopped working and went back to school. So, you know, put a strain on the family. So we had to start working when we were 15. So we, you know, parents was like, we'll get you a car, but you got to pay for all the maintenance and gas in it. And so, so I had no idea going to college. We didn't talk much about college. And then all my friends were going to college. And I was like, okay, hey, Damian, we're all moving to College Station. You want to come with us? Sure, I'll go. You know, it's 3 or 4 months before I graduate.
What are we doing? I'm in. What are we doing?
Well, I'm in, you know. And so, you know, had to have a conversation with, you know, mom and dad. And it's like, I'm going to go to college. and it's like, okay, we'll pay for your rent, but you want food and everything and your gas, you got to go work. So I did. So I moved, and to College Station, went to Blinn for a year.
Let me just like stop down right there. Was the idea that's just like you're not going to go to college because that's just not what people here do? Like,
and so just men in the in kind of and not stereotypical anything, but in Black community, it was. We just try to be better than the generation before, and so, grandpa, mom, had to work for a living, never went to school, and then my mom and dad, didn't have, that opportunity till later in life when mom went back.
Yeah.
And so it was just never kind of, just talked about.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't right or wrong. It's just, we just didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And my brother went to, he's very hands-on, so he went to Texas State Technical School.
Outside of Waco, isn't it?
Yeah, outside of Waco.
Yeah.
And so he's tried to do things there. And so it was just never talked about, and so fortunately, I had good friends in high school that, they talked about it right now, and man, still my best friends to this day, and so, if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be here.
Yeah, talk about like a non-titled mentorship.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you rolled with a good tribe.
That's it.
That wouldn't even have been on your radar.
Never.
It wouldn't even have been a burden of a woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
If they didn't exist.
Yep.
But you saw the woulda, coulda, shoulda in the moment.
Right.
You're like, wait a minute.
Yep.
I think I'm missing out on something.
Yeah, that's it.
Here, go try this.
And like I said, mom went back and excelled and was a straight A, lady. Man, like, and she's just inspirational as it is, and so it's like, okay, yeah, man, I'll go try this thing out, and see, and so
you load the car up and head to
load the car up and head to College Station, Texas with all my friends, and so went there for a year over at Blinn.
Yeah,
really had no idea of what I wanted to do and talk about career wise, so my it's like, I'm gonna be a basketball coach. I played basketball in high school.
Why are we just finding this out? Why are we
not on the prep sheet? I failed you, Stewie.
Yeah,
I failed you.
Okay, we'll talk. It's too late now.
It's too. Yeah, man. So I love playing basketball, and so I was fortunate enough to play basketball for all 4 years. Freshman year I made the varsity team, and so, yeah, I was a pretty good baller back then, but that it ended in high school. So, so my first, I guess, thinking of a major was, I'm going to be a basketball coach.
Yeah.
Whatnot, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And so, and then one of my other best friends, he was moving to Lubbock, go to Texas Tech.
Okay.
After College Station. And I said, man, I'll go to Lubbock, So
where are we going?
Where are we going? And so go scroll up to Lubbock for about a year, and switch major to hotel restaurant management because that sounded cool. And that quickly did not sound cool. It's like work in the food industry.
Yeah.
Hospitality sounds fun, but you're like, but what hospitality means?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm out on that.
Yep. Yeah, I'm out. And so, man, I had a great time. I was in Lubbock for about a year, and then family, my brother's wife family bought a ranch out in Normandy, Texas, and basically said, Damian, you want to come work on a ranch? And I said, yep. And so I left Lubbock and moved to Normandy, Texas. So Normandy 6 between College Station and Huntsville.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to live on a ranch, and did the ranch life and cowboying a little bit. And then I was like, well, what else am I going to do?
So how old are you at this point? 21?
Yeah, I'm 22 maybe at this point. Yeah, this is probably my 2 years after graduating.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe less than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and so, during this whole time, friends and I, we love guns. We love shooting guns, doing stuff with guns and stuff like that. Now I'm on a ranch and, we've got all these like gun fields set up, and doing mock, shooting drills and everything. Yeah. And so Sam Houston has probably one of the best criminal justice program
in the United States.
And I said, man, I'd just go get my criminal justice degree and where that way I can go bust down some doors and get some bad guys, and then FBI, drug enforcement agency, or something like that. So that's what I did. So, so I'm working, still doing some ranch stuff, but then I'm also having a part-time job, right, to pay for everything. And so I was actually working in College Station, and so I would get up, go Normandy to College Station, and then go to school in Huntsville.
Oh man.
Yeah, and so yes, I was on track to be a criminal justice major, and then quickly realized that talking with some counselors that, man, criminal justice is, man, you got to put in a lot of work, to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, and
I was like, oh, man, and criminal justice paying out of school back then was, $15,000-$16,000 a year. And I was like,
loaded.
Yeah, right. And I was like, that's not what I want to do, and my friends, graduating, with engineering degrees and stuff like that. And so I'm just flipping through the college almanac, just, looking at random things to major in. And I run across industrial technology construction management. I had no idea what it was, but started looking up, and man, they were paying $40K coming out of school. I was like,
here we are.
That's the route I'm going.
Yeah, that sounds more better.
Yes, that sounds a little better. So, so I switched my entire. Well, I was already on the track of graduating from criminal justice, so I had a few more classes left, so kept doing those, and then switched over to industrial technology construction management. And so I loaded up my last probably 2.5 semesters. I think I had to go to a special counselor and get approval because I was applying to take like 26 hours to get done.
Gracious, yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, you sure you're gonna do this?" I was like, "I just need to get done."
Yeah, just trying to get out of here, man.
And I did, and man, I made better grades when I had that full schedule than I was taking, the little classes. So, so that's how I really ended up in construction, man. It was just the money at the end of the day.
Well, and I don't think we should downplay that either. Yeah. It's one of the things, right? That's a lot of us at that age are like, "What's going to pay out?" And
that's right.
And we see things that appear to pay out, but man, it's for the very few, like making the major leagues kind of thing. And when we go into schools and try to recruit the next generation into our industry, there's people that get behind purpose. There's people getting behind, you get to work with your hands. There's people that get behind, you get to see your product and teamwork.
Yeah.
But that's a whole sector of people like, hey, don't let it fool you. Like, you could come out of the gates making a great wage.
Great wage.
Look into that, because in that classroom of 35 people, some are teamwork, some are tangible buildings, some are work with their hands, but some are money.
Yep.
It's one of the major things.
Absolutely right.
There's not at that age too. That's what we're all kind of looking for, man. We don't know our purpose yet most of the time.
Exactly right, man.
Well, and I say all the time, to that point, is there's a bunch of different reasons. I ended up in construction on accident.
Yeah.
But stayed because the people are awesome, right? Yeah. And so, like, I don't care why you showed up. Like,
for sure.
There's a lot of reasons why you could or should show up.
Yeah.
But let me tell you why it's awesome.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So, don't to Kevin's point, don't downplay that, man.
Yeah,
that's
man.
a real thing.
Yeah. And and so and so that's how I got in this industry, and funny thing is, we had career day and everything, and I'm working, and I miss career day, and I come in late, and folks are packing up, walking out, and I was like, man, I gotta find a job.
Are you a senior at this point?
Yeah, I'm a senior, right? And a couple gentlemen for Hensel Phelps was walking out, and I said, hey, man, I'm working. I missed the career fair, man. I just want to hear a little bit about what you guys are about. All right, here's my resume. And, they, man, come over here. And, we spent about 5 minutes talking, and 2 days later, I got an offer for internship. And I was like, oh, let's go.
That's awesome.
And so, so somehow I convinced Hensel Phelps to give me an opportunity.
Did you have the ranch work on your resume?
I probably did not have that on the resume.
That's a huge plus when I see it.
Yeah,
because I know you work hard.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Huge plus.
Yep. Yeah. So and so I was able to start out with Hensel Phelps, man, and man, they were great. Allowed me to first move to El Paso, working on some military barracks up there. And then they actually had a big job in Houston, down in the medical center, building one of the tallest back then, one of the tallest buildings in the Houston Med Center.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate to go from El Paso to back to Houston to work on that project. And that project, man, I think it really shaped my career. It was one of those projects that it was a 22-story building, medical outpatient building. And I was the last one to leave. And so saw it, come up from the ground. And so in Hensel Phelps, they and this is what I love about Hensel Phelps and my foundation is that they basically want you to learn how to build a building at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So you graduate and they throw a tool belt on you.
Start in
the field. Go lay out forms, go lay out columns, go lay out, and you're in the field. You're coming home dirty.
Yeah.
You got a hammer on you. I mean, and so it is. At the end of the day, they want you to learn how to build a building, right? And so
that in hindsight, how'd you feel in the moment as an intern with your tool belt?
Well, so man,
great question.
Man, I love working with my hands.
Okay.
And so I grew up working with my hands, fixing stuff on, so, we had to, if something was broke around the house or anything, we had to fix it, and we had to have the wherewithal to fix it, and cars break down, I didn't have money to go, take it to an auto shop. I had to learn how to work on my own car, And so I remember in College Station, I broke down on the side of the road and, man, I had to walk to AutoZone and buy a new timing belt and change it on the side of the road. I wasn't calling my friends. I wasn't calling anybody. Self-reliance. And so I just love working with my hands. So I saw it as a huge, man. This is okay.
I can thrive here.
I can thrive here, right? But some folks didn't, right?
No.
Because hey, I just went to college.
I got a degree.
Don't put me.
I think that's the majority of people.
Yeah,
and I guess the advice there: stick with it.
Stick with it, man.
Because clearly,
stick with it, man.
Where you are today, started there.
And so, man, that I contribute that to my foundation of, I got at the end of the day, I'm in construction. I better know how to build something.
Right. That's the right mindset.
That's the right mindset. And so I was able to work on that job for almost 3 years straight. And I was the last one to leave. And in that moment, I think I talked about, you don't get a lot of second chances, and some of those, I was put in positions, where, hey, go make it happen.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And I had to make it happen, and we, towards the tail end of the project, we had a big warranty deal we were dealing with. I was kind of last man standing out there. Right. But it put me in front of the head facilities guy for Methodist Hospital System.
Right.
Right. And to this day, Method is still one of my biggest clients, just because of that moment, still a young pup. But, understanding, man, you got to be ready at a moment's notice. You may not be ready for it, but you better do the best you can. And that's what I did, man. I'm sitting in rooms with, suits and, I'm 3 years out of school and I'm telling them, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what, why we're doing it, and having these conversations. I'm like, I leave. I was like, oh, boy,
pressure cooker,
pressure, man. My bosses, they had trust in me that you're the guy to lead it, and man, so they, I did a couple other jobs in Houston. They threw me in estimating, so I moved to Austin for a little bit, did some estimating for Hensel Phelps, and then we moved to San Antonio. And so working on another military barracks in San Antonio, with Hensel Phelps, and started working there, and then so at this point, we're now pregnant with my now 11-year-old daughter, and my wife started having some complications. We're in San Antonio, and she, man, something's not right. Like we need to go back, move closer to family. And I was like, oh, okay. She knew what was needed. And so, Ms. Phelps didn't have work back in Houston at that time. And so I actually called a buddy of mine. He was working in the oil and gas industry. And at that point in time, that was in 12. So the construction market was on the downslope.
Yeah.
But oil and gas was on the booming, and they were looking for people. And so we So we moved from San Antonio back to Tomball. And then a month later, my daughter was born. I think she was born at 27 weeks, extremely early.
Yeah.
A month to the day after we moved back. And so she was born on Valentine's Day, 2/14, and she was 2 pounds, 14 ounces when she was born. She was tiny.
Yeah.
And so it was, man, it was, my wife felt, hey, man, something's wrong. I got to get back to family. And me and my other kids, we were out doing something. It was like All-Star Weekend in Houston. And my wife, she was walking in Target and started bleeding, and I'm driving myself to the hospital. She called her friends, so they're all at the hospital before I got there.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So, all right, so it was a month, moved back closer to family. And so, so I went in oil and gas for a couple years.
Well, there's the story there, right? Like, I mean, I don't want to linger on it, but talk about just divine intervention, motherly instincts, all of those kind of things coming together.
Yeah.
That story, absent that story is you're stuck on a base and she's in the middle of nowhere by herself.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And so
such a blessing.
Right. Yeah. Family. Moving back to family was what was needed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, motherly instinct. Right. And she's like, I am moving back to Houston. You can come or not.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Let's go.
Yeah.
And a month later, like my daughter is born, and so, she spent almost 3 months in the NICU.
Yeah.
So I would go up there, before work, spend time with her. And then after I get done with work, go back up there.
And I'm assuming those are like, again, I'm just picking at things at this point, but most of those stories are like, I didn't even get to hold her.
That's it. Yeah.
She's like I don't know what it's called, but in the box.
Right. Yeah, man. It was complete chaos in the room. And, so when she was born, we didn't get to hold her. It was, we had, probably 12, 13 nurses in a room, and so, they tried to stop her from coming, it's like trying to, try to develop as much as can, but the doctor, basically like she's coming.
Yeah.
And man, she came, and just as quick as she came, she was gone out the room.
Yeah, right.
And it was just like silence. And it's like, where's my daughter?
What's going
is she
on?
Okay?
And what's tomorrow hold? And what the heck is, what are we going to, all of it, man. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Yeah. And man, we were surrounded by some really good nurses, up in the NICU, and, for the longest, we would still take them, some cakes and stuff, just say thank you, and they said, hey, little girls are strong fighters, she's like, she's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen this a lot of times. The girls, they fight. And sure enough, I mean, my daughter, she was a little fighter, man, and came out. So now she's just like every other 11-year-old jumping off things. And so, she.
I mean, it's not a great story, but what a great story. Because of all of it. It makes me think a lot about those people, those medical professionals.
Yes.
Like that's all they do.
Yes.
Is lean into those situations.
Yeah.
Anyway, probably don't say thanks to them enough.
Oh, exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. I'm fortunate enough to do a lot of healthcare facilities, and man, it's one of my greatest joys if I get a chance to do a healthcare project, because I know the meaning, what is this going to provide for the community? So
yeah, and
I love that.
You got a crash course. I mean, you were already being built and instilled the character of being selfless and about others, but there's some about once you have a kiddo,
man,
that just expands your perspective. You got a crash course, and the immediate pre-decision of sacrifice you're going to need to make.
Yeah,
career, whatever.
Yep,
I was on this track.
Yep,
hard right turn,
and get thrown in. Okay, now I'm in the oil and gas industry. I've been in construction for the last 6 years.
Yeah,
and now I'm in oil and gas. And it's almost the same. It's construction but offshore. We're building jackets, laying pipelines, and rebuilding heliports in the middle of the ocean. And it was great. I had a fun time in the oil and gas industry. And so I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So
A construction derivative.
Right,
Just
yeah.
building crazy stuff.
Yeah.
You better work hard in order to hide there.
That's it.
There's nowhere to hide.
Yeah, nowhere to hide. I mean, and the funniest thing of going into the oil and gas industry, I don't swim. I'm not a swimmer. I'm not a very strong swimmer. In Black community, we don't like water very much. And so going into oil and gas, so had to travel a lot by helicopter.
Yeah.
To all the rigs and everything. And so you have to go through Hewitt helicopter underwater evacuation training, which basically means you're in a helicopter simulator in a 20-foot pool, and they drop the thing down and roll it over, and you got to bust the window out and swim back up, right, for survival training. You got to do this like 10 times to get your card, and so that was probably, looking back, I was like, I did that?
I'm trying to work in oil and gas, not be a Navy SEAL. What's going on around here?
And so you had to do the helicopter training, and then when you transfer by boat to a platform, you can most of the time you get trained. You fly a helicopter, you land directly on the platform, but sometimes it's a boat transfer, and so sometimes you're sitting on a basket, and the crane from the platform picks up the basket and swings you up on the top. And then sometimes you have to use a swing rope. So a boat would back up to the platform, and seas. Yeah. And so you got to swing from the boat to the platform, So part of the training is you got to hold on to a rope for 10 seconds, right? Because if you miss your swing, you can come back, you got to hold on to it. So, right. And so I'm looking
wall
back.
Smash.
Right. And so I did that, And so people are crazy, man. So it was pretty neat, going through that.
It's crazy.
Looking back, and I was like, I did that?
That was a younger version.
Yeah, right. It was a younger version. Fearless, man.
Fearless.
But that was a neat experience, going into a whole new market. And just using the skills that, I developed from Hensel Phelps. Yeah. To come in an organization and kind of help them get their business. Get their business, but, have an impact for that business and, some procedures and stuff that, I learned from Hensel Phelps to kind of put in place. So it was a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did McCarthy sniff you out from the oil rig?
Well, so that's another fun story. So I was in oil and gas, and this time oil and gas started on a downturn.
They traded?
Yeah, they traded. Construction started going way back up again. Oil and gas started going way back down. And I get a phone call, and this wasn't from McCarthy. I get a phone call from another company saying, "Hey, we got your information from Methodist Hospital.
Right?
There you go.
We're building a big tower. They said we should call you." I said, "Oh, okay. Who gave you?" Right. But that's building relationships I did, back in the day.
100%.
And so I got back into construction from that. And then that's when, and that lasted for about 6 months. And then that's when McCarthy called, and they were looking for somebody to run a healthcare business. And so they started a little business with inside McCarthy in Houston, where you would go and do some of these nasty small projects, trying to build relationships and stuff like that. And so they were looking for somebody to run that business. And so they hired me to do that. And that was pretty neat, And so when I got there, I think I had, it was probably maybe 3 or 4 of us. And I did that for 2 years and left. I think we had 25 employees in that business. If you know anything about Houston Med Center, it's this,
yes,
right? Really small circle. But at the end of it, we were doing work all over Houston, from Katy to Beaumont to the Woodlands to Tomball. And so we were able to kind of increase that business to do work all over Houston.
Yeah.
And so
early in my Texas sales journey, I made a Houston trip. We didn't have a Houston office, and I went into McCarthy's office. I think this was a pre-Judah.
Yeah,
it was an old dude. And I went in to meet with him. I think it might have been a cold call. So I got past the gatekeeper. He was sitting in the conference room.
Yeah.
And I started my thing, and he looked, all he did was look at my card, see Dallas, and said, come see me when you got a Houston address. And that was the end of the meeting at McCarthy's office.
Man,
Like, okay, Houston's not DFW. Got it.
Man.
So to your point, a small circle.
Small circle, man. And
you got to be in it.
I didn't know the Houston Dallas difference, Oh, Houston, we're 8 Dallas, I didn't know that until I moved to Dallas.
Same,
right?
Same. Yeah.
So,
like, what's all the beef?
What's all the beef, right?
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. And so, man, McCarthy, big part of my journey. I'd like to say, between Hensel Phelps laying my foundation of learning how to build a building and being a builder. And then my journey with McCarthy was more on the leadership, and how to be a better leader and a manager and grow and develop more leaders. And so, as I got hired on in McCarthy in Houston, we had this group growing this group. We came out like a training ground for new employees, right? They would come in because we were moving fast. And so we can train people really fast, develop them really fast. They get up to be a manager, and get promoted. And so we had kind of this little culture of, man, being really good to work with. Clients loved us. We're doing good work, developing all these relationships and stuff. And so it was really, really good business. And it kind of, as you look back and you try to see how do you get to certain places, one of my things was always trying to every member on the team make everybody successful.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my big thing, right? If I can't be successful if nobody behind me is, and McCarthy was really, taught me that, it's like, if you want to go to the next level, who are you training and developing?
Love it.
And that was exactly right, And so I tried to get as many voices in the room behind me as I could, So at the end of the day, if I'm up for a promotion or something and they go and ask, hey, what do you think about Damian? Oh man, I love working with that guy.
Yeah.
And so I'll try to, capture as many voices in the room as I can.
Yeah, it's a force multiplier.
That's it, man.
You're only one of you.
That's it.
If you have your head down and you're at a senior level, how's that thing growing?
How's it growing?
It's not.
Yep.
I mean, the answer, obviously, it's not. It's a lot of wisdom in both of those ideas.
Yeah. And so man, we were doing a good job. We were winning good work. And then I get a phone call and said, hey, we got this big job in Dallas we're going for. And we need a senior PM to go run it. And I was like, cool, I'll go.
Where are we going?
Where are we going? I always said yes. I think that's probably been another part of, my journey is, man, if there's an opportunity, I jumped on it.
Yeah.
Because we had some notes in here about mentors and, I've never had, as I was coming up, really good mentors. I would say really good mentors, but I took little qualities of things that I like by people that, were successful. If I saw, one of my PMs or a senior PM, they did this, I was like, I like that. Right.
That's now my tool belt.
That's now my tool belt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like that. And so I kind of took all these little snippets and put in my tool belt and kind of formed the person I wanted to be, as a leader. And so, and one of those was, man, just jumping on opportunities, right? Because you get one shot at this thing, and if I can, have somebody say, man, I'll ask Damian, he'll definitely do it. That's who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to be that person that they can call.
Was this going to be, and I don't know this, but was this moving the whole family or were you commuting for Parkland?
It was moving the whole family.
I'm assuming it was Parkland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in Dallas, and another reason I said yes, Dallas. So I've worked in Houston, Galveston, Austin, San Antonio at this point. Dallas was one of the last city that I've worked in. Nobody knew me in Dallas, and I was like, man, this is a good way for my legacy or, my reputation, of, growing my brand. So yeah, I go.
Yeah.
And I moved down to Parkland. That's where you and I met, when came down here and did that job, and man, it was a very successful job. And the same thing, man. We had probably 30 staff members on that job, and probably every one of them was successful.
Mm-hmm.
I think, doing great things now. And so, I mean, it was just kind of, man, if I'm going to go do this job, I want to make sure everybody on the team is successful and do a great job. So,
dude, you made quick work of that. I didn't realize that you were that new to DFW when we met.
Yeah.
You made quick work of reputation and relationships.
I did,
quick
man.
Work.
Like, that song "Come In Like a Wrecking Ball."
Song. That's more songs. So, although Miley Cyrus, I didn't know that was gonna.
Peep in through country music. No, man, and
there you go.
Man, I've always, some people, I've always been labeled as maybe like a cowboy. It's coming in. I've always had a set of rules of how I conducted business. I've always been able to move fast, but very smartly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and some people, that's not their MO. But I knew coming in Parkland, moving to Dallas, right? It was a fast track project, and we had to move fast. And you want to move fast, I'm your guy.
Yeah.
And so, and that's exactly what we did. We moved fast. I mean, and then building relationships always been natural to me, and understanding the dynamic of the land, and so meeting good people, and this is, it's always just come natural to me. And so, so man, we
there's a little characteristic in there though. I want to highlight because coming in, this is gonna be a hard job. It's gonna have to go really fast. You would think the archetype for that is just a bully.
Yeah, no.
Somebody's gonna come in and break everybody's knees and knuckles and get this thing done.
Yeah.
There's some genius in the idea of no. That's the wrong person.
That's the wrong person. Yeah.
The right person is a person who's going to say what you said. Is we're all going to win this.
We're all going to win.
You just have to do it at a faster pace. What do you need from me? How do we do it?
Yeah.
And that sort of idea. So there's some genius in there about we can go fast and be on the same team.
And be on the same team and be very successful.
Yeah.
And I've got, I had a great group of folks, of team members on that job, man, and we killed it. We knocked it out of the park, and I remember I get a call from corporate. So McCarthy is a very data-driven company, they always measure, which is a great thing, measuring how you're doing it as a manager and how you're doing it as a leader. Right, and they give feedback from all your, your direct reports, and I get a call. I think I was actually at a training. And, the talent development people like, what are you doing at Parkland? It's like, what are you talking about? It's like,
building a job. What are
we
you
have
doing?
never seen this many, folks that just enjoy working for one person. Like, what are you doing? I was like, hey, I'm not doing anything, man. I just let my people be successful. They're all grown adults.
Right.
I give them the roles and responsibilities. Let them go do it. I don't micromanage. If they want, I think people want ownership, and that's what I give folks. That really, if you want to grow in your career, you want ownership, and I give you ownership. And so even at Russell and my leaders, I give them complete ownership, right? And I tell them, hey, if you want to grow in your career, all right, this is yours, right? And I tell them you're going to drown, but you know what? I'm in the boat, right here, right, and I'm gonna pull you up. I'm going to give you some breath to breath,
right.
And I'm going to throw you back out there.
Uh-huh.
Do you want it? Right? Then you're going to learn how to tread water. You're going to learn how to swim. Even, like I said, I am not a swimmer, but it's a great analogy.
The analogy works.
Yeah. Analogy works.
Right, analogy works. But that's how I've been successful in training and developing, leaders, managers.
There's a word there I'm gonna linger on for just a minute, which is ownership.
Yeah.
Because lots of times, especially young people, they hear the word ownership and they think equity. I want corporate stake.
Right.
I want a piece of the pie, that sort of ownership. You're not thinking that's a long term, way down the road. You got a long runway to get to that.
Yep.
You're talking, sometimes, but what you're saying is, I'm going to give you ownership of your universe.
That's right.
I'm going to give you ownership of the issue. I'm going to give you ownership of the decision making process.
That's right. Yeah.
Demonstrate to me that you can own that.
All right. Yeah.
And then I'll see what you can own next. And maybe at the end of the road, what your vision is what you get to own.
Right.
But for now, I just need you to own this process. I need you to own this job. I need you to own this division. I need you to own this P&L statement. I need you to, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's a really smart point to lean on. It's just like ownership shows up in a lot of different ways.
A lot of different ways. And what I found out, if you give people that, that ownership, most of them love it.
Yeah.
Because most most folks maybe not get that opportunity, but I give it to them. If like, I had a PM, and I was like, what do you want? What do you want out of your career?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to be at this level. All right.
Show you how to get there.
Here you go.
Yeah.
And thrive. Knocked it out of the park, just because gave them ownership.
Yeah. That idea also is sort of countercultural to construction because, or let me maybe come at that a different way. The antithesis of that is this is how we do it.
Right. Yeah.
And so you can't own it because we've already figured it out. So just do it this way.
Yeah.
And that's how construction go, right?
Yeah.
Like, to steal the words from Ron Washington.
Yeah.
That's how it goes is like, well, no, because I can't own the process. I can't necessarily lead into it. There's a bit of a dichotomy there.
Right, yeah.
But you're breaking down by saying, you want that? Own it.
Own it,
And if you're drowning, I'll save you, but own it.
Own it, right? And that's how, the opportunities, that I was given, it was, hey, boom, there you go. Go do it.
Yeah.
Jump in the water, go for it, go do it. And back then, when I was coming up in construction, it was, you didn't necessarily have people to show you the exact way because, back then, everybody was working.
Mm-hmm.
You had to go figure out a lot on your own, right? And so you had to be very self-reliant, and I could go research this issue quickly, right, to move me up. And so that's kind of, that's how I train and develop leaders, man. You want it, I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah.
And you're going to sweat a little bit, you're going to panic a little bit. You're going to want to call me all the time, but I'm saying, hey, I believe in you. You can go figure it out.
Yeah. So there's some parenting advice in there too, by the way. I don't know if you pick like the idea of, and I'll get off on a tangent here for just a second, but the, what do they call it? The hovering parent, the
helicopter
moms, the helicopter, whatever. They're just like, oh, I don't want little Jimmy to fail. I'll help. No, man. Like life is going to kick you in the face.
That's it. Yep.
And it's easier if you get kicked in the face in my house.
That's it. Yeah.
Because I can help you figure out how to fix it, bandage it, prepare for it the next time.
Yeah.
Similar, right?
Yeah.
Like this job is going to kick you in the face
all the time. Yeah.
But it's going to be better to kick you in the face when I'm here with you.
That's right.
So get out there and get kicked.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Fail a little bit, and I think that's the hardest part. Is letting folks fail a little bit, right? And let them make their decisions, not always making the decision, right? And that's probably the hardest part, as I'm growing a business, is letting folks make their own decisions, right? And that's why I hire you for, right? And you want to call me, it's like, hey, what should I do? You tell me what you think you should do. Right? If I keep giving you an why do I need you?
Sometimes I got to bite my tongue.
Yeah,
because I want to help you.
Right.
And sometimes it's counterintuitive when I solve it.
Yeah.
It's like, nope, shut up.
Yeah.
And then when you get that intrinsic motivation unlocked with that person, you figure out they can solve it better than you can.
They can solve it better. Exactly. And it's just like, this is why I hired you.
Yeah,
right. I saw that, right? And that's why everybody, I saw what you could become, and you just showed it to me, and so.
There is like a, I don't know what the right way to say this is either, but let me try it like this. We live in an instant replay society where you can go make that decision, right?
Yeah.
While it's going on in the court, it's going real fast, and I don't know if it was a foul or not.
Yeah.
But once the whistle gets blown and we go to the replay, you're like, oh, I think that there was a mistake there. So that the instant replay society, or maybe the different ways to say it, like nobody gets a chance to mess up. Like you were given no latitude to mess up. That fear of failure,
right? Yeah,
it really predominates.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of get to the point is you have to breed that culture.
That's it. 100%.
When you are going to get kicked in the face, and when you come back to me and say I made a mistake and got kicked in the face, it's I can do it knowing that you're going to say I figured that was going to happen. Yeah, let's fix it.
Yep.
Not. You're fired.
Another kick in the face.
Another kick in the face. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the old school.
Yeah. That's the old school. And right. And like I said, when I was coming up, right, I knew I had one shot. I had one shot to do things right. and make the right decision, right? Because I knew if I made a wrong decision, like that could, that I may not get that promotion. I may not get that next job. Right. And so I always kind of live my life is, man, I got one shot at this, right? And I need to do it right, and seize the moment, But as I'm developing leaders, it's kind of like,
yeah,
I got you.
Yeah, you can pendulum lead that. Like that's how it was for me, but it doesn't have to be how it was for you. I'm in a position to change it.
That's right. Yeah.
Also, lyrics from an Eminem song. While we're on it, you get one shot.
How you get one shot?
Okay, I'm going to use this as a chance to go back to a story I wanted to highlight earlier. And I couldn't figure out how to do it, but now I can. Is those days when you're sitting in those meetings with the Methodist folks and all the suits and you're telling them how it's going. I've been thinking about that for the last 20, 30 minutes about how you had one shot.
I had one shot, man. Yeah.
And so many times I feel like people don't appreciate that there is a shot.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%.
You had to know this is my shot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay up late. I'm gonna get up early. I'm gonna prep for that meeting. I'm gonna answer the questions that aren't even asked. I'm gonna do it because this is the shot.
This is it. Yep.
And so I guess the point I'm making is knowing you have the shot and taking it, issue number one, but you have to know that's the shot.
You have to know, man, and that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
And are you ready?
Yeah.
And I, like you said, I had to prepare, right? And I knew the opportunity, and there wasn't calling my boss. There wasn't calling anybody. It's like, it's you.
Yeah.
I want to crank that up a notch.
Yeah. Crank it.
The one shot.
Yeah.
Crank that.
Maybe
That's
I'm going
also
in the wrong
Soulja Boy
direction.
song. It's the fifth song reference.
Yeah. Right.
Across 9, all different genres.
Leave the DJ for Hayes, would you?
There we go. We'll put out a mixtape of the songs we mentioned here.
Yeah. Miley Cyrus, Garth Brooks.
Miley Cyrus,
George Strait,
Garth Brooks, Warren G,
Eminem,
George Strait, Eminem.
When are we going to get some of my
Soulja
people?
Boy. What do you want?
Well, here, scroll out. I got the craziest, heavy metal or worship. It's like they're exact.
There's no in between, right?
Yeah. Spotify is so confused. There's like a red light flashing at the Spotify.
And the daughter, there's a Roar Radio too.
Right, yeah.
a playlist that's Wrecking Ball related.
There you go. Yeah.
Go 11. Turn it up to 11.
Yeah. So you got the one shot thing, and I'm just looking through things and something I think we glazed over that you said earlier. I got one shot. You wrote unconscious bias here.
Yeah.
You wrote, if I want to make it in this industry, I have to be extraordinary. Is this all race related?
No. It's so man, I knew in unconscious bias. I knew unconscious bias before I actually knew what it meant.
Yeah,
right. And so unconscious bias is really we're all familiar with and comfortable with, how we were raised and, what we're comfortable with, right? If you like pepperoni pizza, right? Because you grew up pepperoni pizza, may not, I don't know, to me, you don't like cheese. I just I prefer pepperoni.
Mm-hmm.
We surround ourselves with like-minded individuals. I mean, you don't like anybody else. It's what I'm familiar and comfortable with. And that's kind of how decisions we make is based on unconscious bias. Right? It's just what we're comfortable with. The mind knows, this is comfortable. This is going to keep you out of trouble. Right? Do this.
Right.
And it's not anything race related. Right? And so as I was coming up, knowing that where I had to position myself to get noticed, is something that I had to be conscious about. Right? Because I knew folks are familiar with who they're familiar with, right? And coming up in this industry, I mean, first when I got in construction, there wasn't many black folks in construction industry. It was just something we didn't go into, And so I knew if anything I ever did, I had to do better than anybody else. And so that's where my kind of mentality, if I get one shot, if I had a task, I had to not only just do the task, how can I go above and beyond that task, right? How can I see, if I saw, my supervisor, right? Okay, how can I get to his level? How can I get on his radar? Like, because he may be taking a liking to somebody else. Well, okay, how can I be tactful and get on his radar, right?
There's a confluence of three different issues right there that I think is worth highlighting, because you have the idea of I'm advocating for myself.
Right. Yep.
You have the notion of, well, that's just him playing politics. right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then you have the like unconscious bias
Yeah.
of how you manage the situation, having a better understanding of where
Yeah.
you're coming from.
Yeah.
And that kind of plays next to he's just playing politics a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But they aren't necessarily bad.
No, absolutely not.
Like they kind of come with this connotation that, oh, those are okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about that thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, not, yeah, exactly. Not at all. Right. It's a, and it's for everybody to have a masterful skill. Like if anybody wants to be at the next level in this industry, you've got to go above and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Mediocrity is not going to get you there.
Nope.
You got to go above and beyond to get noticed.
Yeah.
No matter what.
There's,
just for like when I hire people, speaking of unconscious bias, and I look through resumes, my unconscious bias is I look for folks that worked at, name companies. But in reality, folks who are working for me didn't come from name brand company, and they're knocking it out of the park.
Right.
Right. So that's now I consciously know, okay, well, doesn't have to be that way.
It's not necessarily better or worse. It's just I need to identify that I tend to stare at those resumes harder.
That's it. Right. And that's kind of the significance of unconscious bias. It's just,
Well, the inverse of that's true, because I'm going to kind of go back to it to pin it next to politics or playing politics is to say like, and I know, well, I'll use myself as an example. Everybody knows I love basketball.
Yeah.
And so 9 times out of 10, a conversation is related to basketball.
Right, yeah.
Because folks know I love to talk about basketball, so we talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not playing politics.
No.
It's just having a better understanding. Like,
yep.
I know you grew up liking pepperoni pizza, so when we go get pizza, I order pepperoni.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not like placating or pandering or politicking.
Yep.
I'm just understanding who you are better. It's just
Yeah. And so that's kind of how I, my road to get to where I'm at is I had to be tactical, right? And get, how do I get on somebody's radar?
Yeah.
Right. Sitting just doing your job doesn't get you there.
No, it gets you another job.
It gets you another job.
Mm-hmm.
But, I wanted to be the guy that they call. All right. Oh, who can do this? Damian.
That's called job security.
That's called job security, man. You know, and I work my tail off more than anybody else, right? And so, right, and that's why I say, hard work alone doesn't get you there. You got to kind of be masterful, right? And knowing I got to build relationships with certain people, right? Like in, like the gladiator quote I want here, when he says, "Win the crowd, you win your freedom."
Mm-hmm.
Right? You got to get. How can I get everybody on my side, right? To show my value.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you want to look at data, I can run data. You can run data all day. I meet data all day, but oh man, he did this too as well. Wow.
Yeah. You're not letting it manage you. It's just the byproduct of how you manage.
That's it. Oh man. Yeah. He was over here doing this, right? Oh, he was doing that. Right. And so that's kind of always been my motive is to go above and beyond what you're asked to do.
Yeah. There's another word in there, and then we can move on from me like trying to put words on top of this. But you said tactful a couple times too. And as we're putting together this like soup of genius, you got to put a heavy sprinkling of that in there too, because like blunt force, like, hey, I know you like pepperonis. You want pepperonis? You got pepperonis. Do you like pepperonis? Yeah, I heard you like pepperonis. I sent you pepperonis. Did you get your pepperonis?
Right? Yeah.
Like that's like that's stupid. Stop with that, man.
Yeah.
But doing all of the things and being in the spaces and saying the things and all of the stuff tactfully, is you need a very more than a teaspoonful of that when we're making this genius soup.
And I work for big organizations, that have 4,000 employees, right? So how are you, the one employee, going to be different, than the rest,
Pepperoni
39, So that's kind of okay. How can I get on somebody's radar, So
I feel like you just had a moment, Kev.
Well, that's so because I'm trying to relate to the unconscious bias. I have those that I bring to consciousness now in interviews,
right?
Because I'm a smaller company,
Yep.
And when I see big brand name, to your point, companies, I want this person to understand, like, that's cool.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to hide here.
Yeah.
Like,
you might have
blended in.
That's it. Yeah.
Here, this could either be a really good thing for you, or
a bad thing,
or horrific thing. You need to know that that there's nowhere to hide here.
Yeah.
That's either going to excite you or demotivate you.
Yeah.
But I want you to know that.
Yeah. Yep.
We're a small group.
Yep. We're going to see you every day.
You can't mix with 300 people and be this. one part. And I'm not
Yeah.
knocking those folks because some folks are built for that.
Right. Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
they need to do their one thing repeatedly.
Yeah.
Like you're going to own a lot of things here.
Yep.
And we'll teach you, give you the tools and give you ownership. All those things you're saying, nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide. Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah.
I feel like we sort of like mishmashed the story in there because at some point you joined H.J. Russell.
Correct. Yeah.
You said it. You said when you were there, but I don't think we told the story how you got there. So I want to kind of hone in on that and let you tell that story and what they're up to and all this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, worked, at McCarthy and had an opportunity. H.J. Russell was looking for someone to run their Dallas office. H.J. Russell been doing work here in DFW for about 25 years. American Airlines, where the Mavericks played, was one of the first jobs that kind of brought him down.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, with Austin Commercial. And so they were looking for somebody to run their Dallas office, and I caught wind of it through some connections I made here in Dallas, some relationships, and said, "Hey, Russell is looking for," and I didn't know much about H.J. Russell. They're looking for someone to run the office. Okay, let me do a little research on Russell, and understand, they're, one of the oldest, African American owned general contractors, family owned, since 1952. And so as I researching this, looking at, where I want my career to go, and McCarthy has been great and still a great company. I still talk to all those folks over there all the time.
Yeah.
Ray today, the CEO, is I consider him a mentor of mine, and we try to meet up, every few months to grab a cocktail, and he's been wonderful giving me advice since I made the switch. And so, man, it was one of the toughest decisions I've made in my life, only because I'm going from a $6 billion company at McCarthy into Russell when I joined them 3 years ago, right after COVID. I think we were doing shy right of $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then going from a company like McCarthy to I would say a legacy African American owned company, and understanding what that would entail and require of me is some thought I had to really wrestle with.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, let's go. And jumped over 3 years ago. And man, it's been a great decision, and so now I'm got a new title as general manager of our Texas office. So, which is headquartered right here in Dallas. And so we're chasing work all across Texas. And so when I got hired on 3 years ago, we had 2 employees.
Two in Texas.
Okay. Right here in Dallas.
Yeah.
And now we've grown. I think I got 40 employees now.
That's awesome.
It's a big jump in 3 years, man.
Big jump in 3 years, man. I was telling this, I had a new employee start yesterday, and just kind of tell him how we've grown over the last 3 years. He's like, "What? Are you right?" And I consider, it's been very smart growth. That I think, growing, in less than 3 years, we've grown to 40 employees. We're doing work all over the Metroplex, from DFW Airport to down Midlothian, up in Salina, right here in Dallas, so in Fort Worth, and so we've able kind of to grow our footprint over the last 3 years. I'd say smartly, not taking crazy risks, but understanding the folks we've got and the talent and what we can do, right? Because there's been many opportunities I passed on, right? So it's been a lot of fun. I mean, starting something from the ground up, it ain't easy.
No.
This is what you're going through, right? It's what your new, your business, and so it is. Man, it is. It's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, And so you really had to want to do it, right? And it's still an entrepreneurial spirit in me as well that wants to grow, and so it's been a lot of fun, man. But man, it's tough.
Is that entrepreneurial spirit always been hanging out in there?
It has, man. I had, one of the things I didn't talk about is, right when I left the oil and gas industry, I had a little small business, making doors, and so building doors, and so it was pretty funny. So I was making barn doors, back then it was the craze of new houses getting built. They wanted the barn doors, and so
you're like, I know how to make a barn door.
I can make a barn door, man. How many you want? Is it going on the barn? No, it's going on the restroom. It's
so it costs twice as much.
It costs twice as much, exactly. And it's a funny story. Is I was with Preston Presley. This was about 2 years ago. We were doing some hunting, and we were just talking, getting to know each other a lot. And I was telling, yeah, man, I built doors, and ended up, I had 3 employees, work for me, and I sold it, to one of my other employees. And he's like, oh man, really? Yeah, we got these barn doors that we built in our office down in Fort Worth. I said, oh yeah. He's like, wait a second. Who'd you sell your business to? And I said, he's like, you got to be kidding me. This guy built our doors down at the Baker office in Fort Worth. That's a guy that, I sold the business to.
They got big old barn doors in their not new building, but the new build out in Mesquite.
In Mesquite, do they? Yeah. I don't know who did those, but yeah, so it was kind of a
small world, man.
Small world, yeah. And so that entrepreneurial spirit, it's kind of what, took me to new heights when I got hired on McCarthy and running a little business in Houston, and then the H.J. Russell opportunity. Like I knew I could do it, and I like a good challenge, and so, yeah, man, it's been fun. It's been tough, growing something from the ground, establishing and building a culture. Yeah, growing leaders, hiring leaders, right? It's. I say everybody wants to be a cowboy until it's time to do cowboy stuff.
Yes. A lot of people have entrepreneurial spirit, but do you have the appetite?
Do they have the appetite, man?
The stomach for it.
Yeah. And so late nights when you're talking, we were talking this morning about, sleeping and stuff, man, it's some late nights, and sleepless nights of, where's the business going, right? And the only person that can answer that is looking himself in the mirror.
Man, y'all will both love this and hate it at the same time. But that voice in the back of your head, whatever it is, woke me up at 1:30. Woke me up at 1:32 2 nights ago.
Yeah,
like dink. And I looked over the clock and I was like, "That's hilarious." I'm going back to sleep.
Yep.
1:39, 150, 2:30, 2 like just. And then eventually you're like, okay, fine. I'll just get up. Like, I'm just getting up. And that thing is real.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to do cowboy stuff what is it? Everybody wants to be a cowboy until it's time to do cowboy stuff.
That's it. Yep.
That is it, man. That is it for sure. Yeah.
And so we've grown, man. I got a great team of people, man, that, I love seeing every day, and, they're coming in and doing great things. And so, we're a general contractor.
Yeah.
Actually, we got 2 lines of business here in DFW. Our general contractor, and we also do program management as owners reps. And so I oversee both of our lines of business here in Texas.
Yeah.
And so we've been growing good and steadily over the last 3 years. Looking to grow more this year. Looking at forward more opportunities here in DFW, and then also Austin. We won a job in Austin last year.
Oh, that's fun.
And so we're trying to get that one rolling and staffed up here in the next couple months. And then chasing some work back in Houston.
Where's home base here in Dallas?
So we office right downtown Dallas.
Okay.
Downtown Dallas is where our office is.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so it's great, and we've expanded.
Park a truck.
Right. Yeah. There's only one parking garage that fits my truck.
Yeah. I figured as much. Yeah.
Yep. And so we actually expanded late last year. Our office, and so that was pretty exciting. And I imagine probably towards the end of this year, we probably need to look for another type of space to kind of house everybody. So it's been fun.
Yeah, those are nice, good problems.
Yeah,
growing steadily.
Yeah,
is a nice, good problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so glad you came on, because this is a clinic in how you grow as a person, but also just learning more.
Yeah.
About you and what you do, man.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
And this isn't the close, because I still want to hear about the family and your love and passion for doodles.
Yeah.
Wait, you got a doodle?
Oh, man. Do we want to go there right now?
No, we probably should. Let's just pin that we love doodles.
No.
It's such a great episode.
Refuse. I rejected.
Maybe we need to do one episode of just talking about, maybe we shouldn't.
What?
Could be a real
It
career
could be.
breaker.
That's it. Yeah, I think we
This
should. I
is
think we
nothing
should
about
pass.
whether we love or don't love dogs. That's not about. But what doodle do you have? I know what doodle you have. What doodle do you have?
A golden doodle.
Yeah, which
Yep.
the full size one?
Yeah, full size.
Yeah, we have a smaller one, but yeah,
Okay. Yeah, we
doodle.
got a full
Now
size.
some things make more sense.
Yeah.
Everybody has a doodle.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Those are rough and tough construction folk.
It is.
yeah,
Yeah.
doodles, fluffy dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The other day,
Yeah.
somebody was talking about dogs. I'll move on, but somebody was talking about dogs, and I said, "Well, I live in far north Dallas, and I have 3 children. And you tell me what kind of dog I have.
Right.
Like,
That's
you
it.
have a doodle.
You got
I
a
was like,
doodle.
Yeah, nailed
Yep,
it.
nailed it. That's it.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Family, hit me with family.
Yeah, man. Family. So married. Wife. I got 3 kids. I got Nicholas, who's 26 years old. Evan, who's 14, and Lissa, who's 11.
Gotcha.
And so we were spread out,
Unlike your parents,
unlike my parents, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we should have took that lesson.
you didn't learn that lesson. You brought forward other stuff you
That's
learned from
right.
your
Yep.
parents.
Yeah.
Babysitting tears. That's what you
Babysit.
were looking
That's it, man. Right. Nicholas was a great babysitter.
I bet.
Growing
And
up.
chauffeur, I bet a little
and
bit.
chauffeur.
Yeah.
And so we can call him and say, "Hey, come over to the house, watch the kids, watch the dog."
Yeah.
While we go on vacation or something.
Right.
So yeah, family. We live out in Fort Worth, West Fort Worth, and so I make the drive pretty much every day downtown Dallas. But I'm a driver. I mean, and I get it from my grandpa. I guess been a long truck driver. So
I missed it. Where?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth.
Yeah, so right about Eagle Mountain Lake.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, and so great, love it. Reminds us a little bit of home.
Yeah.
Down in the country, still got rolling hills. We can still see cows.
Mm-hmm.
We look out our front door, so it's kind of nice.
That is nice.
So now they're building a big high school, like also out of our back door. So,
Are you in Fort Worth? Is that
yeah, we're
Fort Worth
Worth.
ISD?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they're building a huge Eagle Mountain High School,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it used to be all cattle land, and sold it and building the
Crazy.
man. Yeah, so huge high school. So
You're gonna have to keep moving west, otherwise
think
that's gonna be the new Tomball to
That's
use.
it.
Like,
It's-
man, remember when?
That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I feel like Fort Worth's a silent killer, man.
It
We
is.
talk about Dallas, but dude,
Oh
Fort
yeah.
Worth is
Yeah.
growing like crazy.
It is insanity.
But nobody in
Yeah.
Fort Worth wants you to know it because they don't want you to
they don't
move
want,
there.
They don't want you to move there. Right?
Yeah.
And then I didn't understand. You talk about the Houston Dallas fight, but man, the Dallas and Fort Worth, my goodness.
Same thing with the business card.
Yeah,
dude.
man. It's,
Oh, yeah.
Get Dallas one out of here.
yeah.
Even
Yep.
your truck has Dallas side mirrors.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Not Fort Worth.
Not
What does that mean?
Like the Fort Worth ones are the
Mm,
big,
the big-
tall, bracketed ones.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can see your trailer?
Little Dallas
it.
shiny
Yeah.
one. That's
Yeah.
cute.
That's exactly right.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, your truck runs on regular gas, not diesel?
Not diesel. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
Dallas guy.
Yeah. Cool Fiat.
Cool Fiat. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, you in the Tesla?
Yeah.
I actually said something the other day about how there's a lot of Teslas in the neighborhood, and I was
Yep.
like,
Yep.
there
Dallas.
are.
Buckle up. They're only going to increase.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Well, I got a couple of squirrel moments there, but I won't take them.
Well, let's squirrel to your, as best as you can control, your Friday tradition.
Man, yeah. So Fridays, yeah. So
I thought that was a joke. I'm very excited about hearing this.
yeah. So man, so as running this type of business, grow a business, right? Take it. It'll wear you down. You can be as busy as you want to be.
Oh yeah.
And so, during the day, so I'm an early riser, I'm up every day about 3, and some days I go in the office and work. Some days I go work out.
Mhm.
Last week I got up and I did the laundry, and so, and I think those early mornings kind of give me a fresh perspective on, where I want the business to go and what are we doing right? Where do we need to go? So those early mornings is kind of like my thinking time, right? And so, right, and then the day gets filled up with
Oh yeah.
whatever you want it to be, and so Fridays is usually, and I've been doing this for a number of years, is my afternoons is blocked open, and so it's my I think what it is my comment of the week, thinking thoughts and being smart thinker, right? That's what the organization wants me to do. And then Fridays is kind of where I try to put that into action, right? And that's either, I try to go golfing, with coworkers or other business leaders or architects, engineers, right? And I see it, and man, I can just talk business. We have a little fun, right? And I can kind of put my thoughts. Oh, okay, I can focus things this way, And so that's kind of my tradition. Is Fridays is pretty open, whether it be golf or happy hour or lunches and something like that.
Heck
So,
yeah, man.
I thought the golf part was a joke, but you are a big golfer, I guess.
I love to golf, and I'm not a very good golfer.
Okay.
But I love to golf.
Boy, that's an anomaly because I think golf sounds great in theory, but I'm not good. Therefore, I hate it.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it, man. And
just being outside.
Just being outside, man,
Yeah.
with good company, good people talking about good things.
You need to get that mentality
Yeah.
more so because I get caught up in the scorecard and the lost balls and not the bros and the hanging out and the whatever.
You can't, man. I'm serious enough during the week.
Yeah.
I need a little bit of breath where I don't have to,
Yeah.
be so aggressive and
Yeah.
about anything, and just kind of just let the ball fly where it may. I may shank it a couple times, I may get a birdie or a par on the hole, but it's what it is, man. I'm here to just relax and kind of put my thoughts into work. So.
I'm taking a Friday slot.
Yeah, come on, man. Let's do it.
You know my stretch goal. We were talking in the hallway.
we were talking. I got you.
Low 90s is
That's
where I
it.
want to live consistent.
Yeah.
I'm going to get there. I have a lot of faith after Sunday's bucket of balls. I took some lessons and I applied those lessons. Usually when I hit a bucket, I'm like, I don't even know how to correct this. Like,
Right.
I know that it's not going in the right direction, but I don't even know what to do.
Yep.
It's like, what am I doing with this bucket?
Yeah.
But after you have a pro tell you,
teach you a
do
couple
this,
things,
do this, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't do that. Maybe I stand 1 inch a little further back or
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
And you start playing around with it. You're like, oh, I got it.
Yeah.
There's I was two things, and I think I actually have two things. One is when you were talking about golf, I was like, somebody just the other day was telling me about their stretch goal for golf.
It
was yesterday. You were telling me yesterday about the golf pro or the caddy or whatever, saying like loosen up on the grip, whatever.
Yeah, hey,
And
psychopath.
I couldn't
Quit
manage to
strangling your
remember.
golf club.
I couldn't remember.
You
it
look
was
like
you.
a very aggressive person.
That was his
That's
lead
what he
off comment.
said. Yeah. Did you know that's what he said? Yeah. Yeah. What made
It's
you
like,
think
yep,
that?
I can see that. What made you think that?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Your veins popping out of your arm when you're holding the club.
You're shaking and gritting your teeth. Psychopath.
Exactly
screaming
right.
out.
The other thing is like the renewed like reminder that having a professional guide
Yeah.
helps change everything, right? Like literally changed your trajectory. How about that for a golf
Yeah.
mentor analogy I just made?
It's not for beginners, too.
Yeah.
You mentioned executive coach at one day.
Yeah.
We're always learning at whatever we're doing.
That's it.
Somebody can
Very
always
true.
offer advice.
Yep. Yeah.
Like from intro level skier to a Matt Fisher level skier.
Yeah. There you go.
We need to up our quota. We've been taking a break from mentioning Fisher. So there you go at the
There you
very
go.
end.
I don't think anybody's going to catch that one. Nobody makes it to the end of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
What
great.
do we miss, man?
Yeah.
You did a great
You
job.
serve.
Yeah.
I mean, Texo board.
Oh, yeah,
as
man.
we're our relationship has grown a lot closer. So that's been awesome.
Yeah.
But you're the chair of NAMC as well.
Yeah, NAMAC, man. NAMAC, National Association of Minority Contractors. I chair the board of that association here in DFW. And so we're, NAMAC, one of the oldest minority construction trade associations in the U.S. Just trying to help minority firms, build relationships, pursue work.
Yeah.
We try to advocate for them, provide access to opportunity where, we can go get with owners and other general contractors and bring them all in a room together.
Right.
So they, just try to give them access to opportunity. And then, we try to have a couple of education courses for them. Just teach them, pay apps and things like that. So, that's NAMAC, and it's been fun serving on that board as well. So,
it's great work. I mean, not to I try to make a parallel over the top, but if you don't talk about college at home, you don't think about going to college. Just like if no one ever taught you how to actually do your pay apps right, you never think about doing it. You just send the stuff in.
You just send it in, right? And now you're like, why haven't I got paid?
Yeah, it's because your
It's like
paperwork's
your
trash.
paperwork, yeah, so
So let's fix it.
Let's fix it, yeah.
And those are great opportunities to like level up the the whole group of NAMAC
Yeah.
just saying, hey, let's level up together.
That's it. Yep.
That's great work, man.
Yeah. It's been fun.
One big thing.
Yep.
You got one? Come on.
One big thing.
Like, what's the collection of all your travels and things you want, experiences, and something you want to leave our listeners with? If you get nothing else out of it,
if you get nothing else out of what we talked about, is don't get a golden doodle. No, I'm just kidding.
War drums, run it.
That's it.
Cut the tape.
Oh man, like you were like listeners can't see, but like you're real contemplative in your face. I was like, oh, here it comes,
here it comes, man. Right.
I agree.
Smartest thing that got said
smart.
today.
That's it. No, not biggest thing, man. Is what I try to build good relationships with folks. I try to be simple. Try to see the best in people. And like I said, this industry and world is tough enough on anybody. So my motto is always just to meet people where they're at. Always think. My first impression is hey man, you can do great things.
Yeah.
And that's how you start with me.
Yeah.
So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'll just cut it right there because what I'm about to say is not helpful and it detracts from the perfect ending. But when you said that, like the world is tough enough and this job is tough enough, the thing that shot through my mind was, how am I, Stuart, making it even tougher?
Right. Yeah.
And like that, I instantly got like the super personal indictment from just the thought of like, how am I making it worse?
That's it. Yeah.
And you stop, like just flip that switch back. I trust you, man. Like, where are we going?
Where are we going? Man. You got the time?
Bro, you just put on a clinic. There's so much in this throughout this episode.
No, man, I appreciate it.
People need to listen to.
Yeah.
And we need to send to more people.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to figure out how to make it?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here you go.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for hanging out.
Man, thanks, man. It's been fun. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it. Man. Thanks a lot.